What's up, banana bunch? Bunch? Bunch?
Welcome to the Jungle Gyms podcast. What's up, Banana Bunch? You know what time it is? Time for another episode of the Jungle Gyms podcast. Are you as excited as I am? It doesn't matter, because I'm excited enough for the both of us. Well, I got a great episode for you, but before we dive into all that stuff, let's get the clerical stuff. I'm here. I'm still out there trolling for reviews. Hit me with some lovely reviews on Apple Podcasts, or you can just subscribe to me right now if you're listening to the audio version only on our YouTube page. I'll drop a link in the comments if you're having difficulty finding it, and of course in the comments I'll also drop some information so you can skip around the episode if you'd like. Okay, with that bit out of the way, I want to remind you all, we're bringing festivals back, and the first one is this June, and it's Beer Fest. We're going to have hundreds of different beers from all kinds of breweries all over the world that you can try out. It's going to be great. I highly recommend you visit junglegyms.com and get your tickets now before it sells out, and then you start sending me emails saying, hey, Mark, can you get me in? And I'm going to say, hey, in the first week of May, I warned you all, and this would happen, and I'll just send you a link to this in hopes that it drives more clicks to the show. Thanks for your help. Okay, so this week, we've got a bunch of cool stuff coming on, like I said. This month in our Discoveries program is Discover Mexico. And I thought with Cinco de Mayo this week, well, realistically, I realized I didn't know anything about Cinco de Mayo, and I knew very little about Mexican culture, and I thought it would be fun if we dove into that and learned a little bit about it and how to properly celebrate and all that stuff. So I've got two great segments. Later in the show, you'll meet one of the nation's hottest new restaurants. No joke. You keep seeing this guy written up all over the place. His name's Sergio Gutierrez. We're going to check out some of his food. He's going to tell us a little bit about his experiences, and that's going to be awesome. But up first, I want to introduce you to two of my new favorite employees here, Monica and Oswaldo, and they're going to tell you all about Mexico. It's going to be great. All right, here we go. Okay, cool. Hi, everyone. We're still doing this. No. Well, we're laughing again at the start. This is even better.
Yeah.
Welcome to the studio today, Monica and Ozzy. Monica, why don't you kick this off? What do you do here for us at Jungle Gyms?
Hi, I'm Monica Perdomo. I'm here at the international area. I go ahead and I'm their international buyer. I go ahead and I bring in all sorts of new items, trying to bring in new items, trying to make sure that we're covering all nationality, all the countries. So reaching out to the customers, seeing what they want, they're like, oh, can you bring this? Oh, I was like, well, let's see if we can, bring it, because they want that, have that, being able to buy the supply them with the products that they have from back home, and so they can go home and make their dishes that they typically are familiar with, so they won't be so homesick.
So cool. I love that.
Yes.
And I guess because of that, you probably got to see all over the world, huh?
Yes, being able to 17 years being an international, and being able to travel throughout Central America, South America, Asia, and everything like that, and picking up, seeing all the different. I mean, because I'm Cuban descent, but I mean, in the Caribbean, but I get excited about all the other countries and what they offer, and like in Brazil, like the meat being meat just cooked in 9 hours ago.
We just got this.
Yeah, I was like, whoa, we have fresh seafood? Well, you can have fresh meat. Oh, this is awesome. We don't have this,
I've met so many people from Brazil since I've started here, and every time they talk about just South America in general, I'm like, why haven't I been yet? Mostly for the food. I'm just going to bury myself in feijoada or something.
Well, we have from because I was on the board of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and I didn't know when we had the ambassador of Brazil, I didn't know how many Brazilians were actually here until they came out. They came out, and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is great. It's like every time we have a different ambassador, is like, oh, I didn't know we had. This is great.
That's so cool.
They like hide in little pockets, throughout Cincinnati, and
right. Well, like Cincinnati's kind of that town. I think for everybody a little bit. It's like almost like a little cliquey, and it seems like it does play in the international game too. That's so cool. I say often I think I have the most fun job in the company, and I do. But I feel like the secret slayers. Like, just I got a sense of adventure about me. I'm also interested to learn. So I feel like you all really secretly also have one of the best gigs in the company. That's so cool. Well, thanks for joining us, Monica. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Ozzy, introduce yourself, buddy. What do you do here? We've been pitching this a long time. I'm glad we finally made it happen.
Yeah, my name is Oswaldo Gonzalez. I am from Mexican heritage, and I work in the international section. I stock things, open boxes, put them on the shelves. I help customers when they have questions about stuff, and I like to explain to them and all the different types of foods that we have because they have a lot of questions and all that. And I like to explain to them like different recipes and all that because they look at me and they're like, "You're Mexican, right? You're some sort of you look ethnic. Tell me about this recipe that I'm making." Yeah. And I don't mind that much sometimes, and I like to explain to them all the recipes and all that because my mom is a really good cook.
Oh yeah.
She loves cooking like all these different Mexican dishes, and she tells me all the recipes and all that, and I like sharing that to people that want to buy it, and
Well, having tasted her pozole, I'm just like, and I promise I will bring her dish. If you're listening to me out there, Mama Gonzalez, I promise it's been cleaned. It's sitting on my kitchen table. I promise I'll bring it back.
Every day she comes up to me and she's like, "Tell that chili man to bring it back my thing."
And please feel free to remind me. I feel bad about it every day. Like there's almost this moment about 10 minutes once I get on the ride here where I'm on the 75 and I'm just like, I forgot the dish again.
Yeah.
And it's a nice one too. It's like a glass one. So it's like, I'm just, the whole time I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
Well, it's not the first time you guys have seen me be an idiot recently. Right?
No. Never happened. What are you talking about? Getting a little dish of it.
I'm glad you joined. Well, today, obviously, we're here doing a little discovering, as it were, for the Discoveries program, because we've got, for this month, we're doing Discover Mexico. Obviously, with a focus because Cinco de Mayo is coming up here. So I thought I would start with, what is Cinco de Mayo? Because I am pretty sure it's not just an American drinking holiday.
No. Okay, so Cinco de Mayo is La Batalla de Puebla, which is the Battle of Puebla, and how Puebla won against, I'm pretty sure it was like the Spanish or the French army. It was some European power or something like that. And a lot of people think it's Mexicans' Independence Day, which is not really. It's not. It's just, it was a very underdog story and which eventually led to the Mexican Independence Day. So a lot of people just think it's like, it's just it's Mexico's 4th of July. Let me just drink a beer or something like that. Right. I'll drink a Corona instead of like a Blue Moon or like a seltzer or something like that.
No White Claw for me.
Yeah, no White Claw for me. I'm getting myself a Dos X.
Yeah. Do we have horchata claw?
Ooh,
Blanco claw.
a new blend.
But yeah, it was just a very, prominent, important battle that Puebla won, which is a city in Mexico. And it's just very important to Mexican history and all that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Have you been to Mexico before?
I have not been to Mexico. I'm kind of hoping Jungle sends me on an expedition.
Yeah, I've got 2 helmets, so let's go.
Yeah, exactly.
He made a joke in the first episode. He's like, he was talking about South America in this regard, but he was like, one day I hope in a year from now I see you floating down the Amazon River in a jungle. Just make sure you wear your Jungle Jim's outfit. I was like, done.
Rep the
There
jungle
You
flag.
send me, I'm ready.
Yeah.
Well, Monica, you have been there,
I've
right?
been there, especially to Puebla. Puebla is amazing. I mean, it's just in a town it has to offer so much more than it's also it's where the mole originated from.
Okay.
When mole here, I'm like, yeah.
And mole, by the way, just the short form, it's effectively just, what's that directly translate to? Isn't it like, isn't it like just sauce?
I'm not really sure. A lot of people call it chocolate sauce because it does contain chocolate, which is, a main ingredient. It's got almonds and cumin and all these different.
And it doesn't taste like chocolate for the
No,
uninitiated.
absolutely
Yeah,
not.
like,
It used dark chocolate just to add like weird.
I only mention it because I feel like people get so. When I first moved to Cincinnati and people are like, "There's chocolate in the chili. Do you know what you're doing?" I don't know why I'm doing a southern voice because I came from up north. I didn't think a very proper voice would be anyway. But I just remember they got chocolate in their chili. That's crazy. And I remember thinking like that, for example, was one of those things that like chocolate is really versatile, folks. If you don't know that, if you're not cooking, it can show up in a lot of things, and it's delicious and adds like a richness, So anyway, I'm sorry to jump in on that. I just wanted to clear it up for them.
That's okay.
Yeah, because it's very. I mean, the way they have it in Puebla, they serve it. It's so thick and it's dark and it's so rich, but rich not to where it's so sweet because of
The chocolate, yeah.
other ingredients.
I have never had Puebla mole. I wish I had. The way you describe it makes me, really want to try it. But I've had my mom's mole, which is the only one I like. And my grandma's mole, she shipped from Mexico.
Oh my gosh, that's
I
amazing.
know, it was weird. I don't know how it came in, but she made it.
I'm not here to answer questions like that. It was like I'm not under oath. I'm not under mole oath.
No, yeah.
That's cool. No, sorry, incredibly. I was going to ask on that end, is there anything that you can think of that would make it different on a taste end, like compared to other more traditional ones?
It's just that here, I know we cater. I don't know if it's too strong. I mean, it has, there's the oils that it's used, but here I know we cater more to the
the American Mexican cuisine.
Yeah,
right.
American, and instead of having the authentic and where it's really enriched in los sabores. I mean, the flavors that are just put in each typical Mexican dish or any of the other countries' dishes. I mean, the actual flavors that go into it are so much more that sometimes I think that when the restaurants open here, they're a little hesitant and hold back just because but we don't want to, because they want to have the business, and they have the business because they make sure that they're catering to that audience.
Absolutely. Well, it's like we're in Fairfield, Ohio, right? I'm sure we have a decent mix of people, but I'm willing to bet it's still probably a predominantly white area, and you could totally scare off a customer. You're like, putting
sauce.
Yeah, you're like pickled. What was it you said before?
Oh yeah, the pickled pork skin. Yeah.
A pork skin on a tostada, which I'm like, that sounds amazing. But I know no one in my life who would really be like, yes, trying that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a great point. Well, and I was going to ask you about that before I dive into more like the cultural things, but what are some of the things that you all have been bringing in for this, for example, that are, I think the best way I can put this is, because I think that this holiday sort of, at least in the U.S., has become kind of, it's a little more Anglo-centric, right? Like you see a lot of the terrible, what did I say earlier? Cinco de Drinko, which annoyed me both from like a cultural and sensitivity angle and the fact that Drinko de Mayo is infinitely makes more sense in the clever department. But, no, I was thinking things like that. You see things like chips, that's familiar. Beans, that's familiar. So like what's something that people should be trying instead of like going to the old classics? Like I don't need to drink a can of zesty Goya nacho cheese as much as I'd like to, but
the for instance, la horchata. We make sure we brought the horchata and the actual can. Like there's a canister that you can to make the horchata, and the horchata is so. It's so delicious because there was a customer. It's just like she's looking at the Discover and she's like, "Oh, there's no horchata here." Oh, yes, there is. We did bring some horchata in, and along with the little canister. So we were able to bring that in and to make and the horchata.
Yeah, the horchata. I love horchata, and I'm so glad we can finally, we have stuff that to make real horchata because we have the concentrate and we have like the Kool-Aid mix kind of thing, and then we have the the stuff to make it yourself from scratch with the rice and the cinnamon and the milk and all that.
Yeah, and I guess just to be clear, can you describe for the audience what horchata is if they have not had this delicious nectar?
Well, if you're unfortunate enough to not try it, it's just like a rice milk cinnamon drink, which doesn't sound that well, but it's just kind of it's like cinnamon toast milk. You know what I mean? Which is. If you don't like that, I don't know what's your deal.
Right, exactly. I'm like, unfriend, turn the show off. Yeah, I loved it. The first time I ever tried it, and I was like, oh, I'm so glad I had somebody make it authentically for me rather than the powder mix. So, I was glad you brought up the powder mix too, because I was about to do that whole thing of like, can I get the stuff? I'm in the club. Can I get the good stuff?
Yeah. The concentrate is the one I recommend if you're just going to buy a storefront one, because the mix is like good if you want to make a lot really quickly, but the concentrate is just... It's the way to go if you just want to make it. That's like the good version of the easy way. Yeah.
Do you know what you add to the concentrate? Is it just water? Or
it's just kind of like hot water and milk.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah,
I'd like to try that. And now I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking about your mom's cooking too. I was like, we got to have her on the show, and we got to.
She would not mind showing up here.
Funny.
She'd probably want to be like
really good,
like a hands
and even
distance
jungle.
away from Chili Man, because that's how she knows you. The first time she saw you, she was like. this is the guy you look up to, the chili man. I'm like, yes, that is my hero right there.
Well, thank you first off for the hero worship. I appreciate it.
problem.
And Mama Gonzalez, if you're listening, first off, your pozole, amazing. The dish is coming, and more importantly, I promise I don't have any chili on me at all right now.
Now, I can smell it off you.
Well, so I wanted to tie into, talking about some of these things and trying these things. What I find interesting about, and I'm assuming this probably spreads to more than just Mexican culture, but I feel like there's a really big focus on the relationship between food and family. Am I crazy in saying that?
Yeah, so we to gather around the table, and either be it breakfast or el almuerzo, the lunch. Our lunches, sometimes we have the la siesta. You come home and you're with your family. You're with the kid. You come home from work on your tradition, you're professional, and you come home and you actually, because being over there, being over there on business, I would go and it's like they're like, we're going home,
right?
And to be with the kids have come, and we do have interactions. They come home from and then you go back to work. They have a real keep it family oriented and things like that. And then the dinners, it's always a gathering. But and like the drinking, we don't hold back. No alcohol. It's the drinking, like either a sangria.
Yeah.
It's tata, and so we just, you sit. It's not like the kids get drunk or anything.
Right.
But it is a different atmosphere where, we do sit, have a sangria. So when when you're legal here, if you're legal, it's not a big deal.
Right.
We're not like, it's, yeah.
In a funny way, and again, with having a lot of international family myself, that was like one of those things that like drinking was not like this. It was obviously you're not getting drunk at 12 years old or anything like that, but it wasn't like such a taboo. And I sometimes wonder if. And then, now I'm getting on my soapbox, folks. I sometimes wonder if we struggle with drinking in American culture because there's like this weird like barrier that's so rigid. You're like, you cannot touch this thing until you're 21. And then you just pull the floodgates back.
Yeah.
And then if you're susceptible to imbibing too often, maybe that doesn't play well. I wonder about that a lot. I'm not doing any research here, but
because at 15 in Spain, you and then 15 in
Mexico.
Mexico, they serve you. It's
I come from a very very Catholic Mexican background, and like drinking is just like a big part of basically the religion and the whole country. And, I've been having little sips of wine and alcohol since I was like 14 and all that.
Second grade,
Yes.
because that's when you do your communion.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so when you do our
you start
we
taking
do the
little
communion in
sips, you
second
build
grade,
that,
and so we're sipping.
build that tolerance,
Well, right. You got to be prepared for the rest of the family events.
Yeah, exactly. And
build that high tolerance.
back to the family events, when Mexicans cook, they don't cook for themselves. They cook for the entire family. You never
Even
see
the neighbor down the street.
Neighbor down the street. You get everyone involved.
As I am the neighbor down the street for the Gutierrez family on my street, I think actually, that'll be a fun plug because you'll meet him later or before, depending on how I edit this whole episode together. But I always loved that about that. And when I first moved to the neighborhood I'm in right now, they have like a small bodega that they run now. But it was just that beautiful thing where I was walking the dog one night and they were doing like a big shrimp thing. And they're like, hey, do you like shrimp? And I didn't know them yet, right? Like I'd gone to the store a couple times, but like, I'm personable and fun. But it was that thing where I was like, oh, I didn't realize we were friends yet, kind of.
Yeah.
But it was first off, some of the most delicious shrimp I've ever eaten in my entire life. Had this beautiful spice. It's just a lot of flavors happening. It made my day. And it was one of those moments where I was like, oh, another thing that U.S. culture could really learn to pick up from others is this kind of community aspect to eating, right? And it's a beautiful thing. Like, do you know how much stuff I've tried of like Mexican foods in the last 2 years since I've been to that place longer than that. But really, once I got close, it's crazy. There's stuff I'm just like, every time now they know not to even ask me, like, do you want to? I'm like, dude, if you think it's worth my time, I'm 100% in. If it's terrible, don't let me have it, right? Don't let me have powder or chata. Let me have the good stuff.
Well, it's an insult. It's an insult. For us, if you come over, you got to eat.
Right.
Like, people would come over It's like, oh no, thank you. What?
Right.
You're not eating? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Why are you,
You
not
walk into
eating?
my house, you're getting stuffed.
You're getting stuffed
from your mouth hole.
Yeah.
But yeah, like what I've always said, the biggest compliment you can always tell a Mexican is compliment their food.
Yeah.
Which is mostly well deserved, and it's like the happiest thing you can make someone, a Mexican person's like, I like your cooking, or I like your mom's cooking. You'll make their day.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's an interesting thing.
They want to. They food is like they want to definitely share and I mean even compartir.
Exactly.
I don't even know compartir. But they really bring the more the merrier.
Okay.
To go ahead and have that group of we don't eat alone.
Right.
I mean, and we do eat. We like to have and when it's time to eat, it's time. You better be there at dinner.
Yeah.
I mean, like for my kids, I used to. Ring the bell. Everybody got the kick out of ringing the bell, but I ring the bell because they knew wherever they were, wherever they're at, they better come home because it's time for dinner. And if they want to eat, they're going to eat.
That's so cool.
I remember when you told me that Jungle kind of wanted to taste my mom's food.
Yes.
Just like you said, just Jungle. My mom immediately jumped at the opportunity and was like, I'm making a whole batch of pozole for like everyone in the office. And I was like, Mom, are you sure you want to make? And she was like, yes, absolutely. And I was like, screw it, why not?
That's how it is. Yeah.
We walked in there.
It made my day.
Yeah, I know, right?
Thank you again. I'm gonna keep thanking her. Now I know you really like me. I mean, I was genuine the whole time, but now I'm like,
See, but yeah, she was like, voy a hacer una jarra para todos ahí en la oficina, which is like, we'll make it for everyone in the whole office, and everyone did it, and everyone loved it, and it was great.
yeah. Okay, so something I was kicking around before we jumped in here was the idea of doing. Like, I kind of wanted to touch on the difference you mentioned before about like kind of catering to like the American Mexican food. And in my maybe short-sighted version of this is I feel like American Mexican food takes like a bit of inspiration from the real thing. And then they're like, but what if we covered it in cheese, sour cream, and pretty much destroyed every aspect of the flavor, any potential spice in there? So I wanted to ask, really, is there a certain dish that you see show up that is like a Mexican dish? I'm putting Mexican in quotes, that is just so wildly incorrect that, you know what I mean?
That we would have
That you might see somewhere you're like, oh, we definitely don't eat this. Do you know what I mean? Like it's like, oh, is that too much of an oddball question?
No, I'm just trying to think because I don't really go to Mexican restaurants that often because I would go to one and then my mom's like, I can make it better, and I'm like, you can, but I just want to go to a Mexican restaurant sometimes.
Like I'll go with my friends because they'll be like, okay, it's like we order through the back way.
Yeah.
We don't order what's on the menu.
Right.
We order the back way. Yeah. And
I'm in the club.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, let me have this, and it's like, oh no, whatever she said.
Yeah, every Mexican knows like a Mexican store owner, and they get like the good stuff. They're like, hey, is Ramirez there? You know what I mean? Is Raul there or something? And
Yeah.
Pick
the good thing.
To go behind the scenes and it's like, well, like the rice. I don't. That's something I'm not fond of when
they add so many onions. When I go to a Mexican restaurant and it's like they add so many onions, it's
I'm
like
thrown off by the rice.
the carne asada. Yeah. Oh my god, I'm not a big. When I go to a Mexican restaurant, that's like the last thing I get is like carne asada, fajitas. I don't really eat fajitas outside of Mexican restaurants, really.
Right.
That's probably one of the dishes that you said. It's like I don't really eat fajitas. But yeah, like carne asada usually is like really thick and overcooked and all that. Right. And carne asada, it's like skirt steak. You gotta be really thin. You throw it on the grill with chimichurri, Yep. For like maybe like a minute or two, and then you eat it like that. It's great.
Get the hot sear. It's perfect. I'm into that. Yeah,
because we cook with a lot of flavor and everything, and I think that sometimes we hold back on the
the exotic flavors.
The exotic flavor because that might be a little too much.
Right.
For and it's like, oh my gosh, it's the bringing all those flavors together. It's an explosion, in your mouth when you're like, oh yeah, and
I think
great.
the first time I think it was Sergio that did this for me, but hit me with a mango and with tahini on it, and I was just like,
yeah.
why didn't anybody tell me about this? They were like, well, you're white, dude. So like, we just kind of assumed you weren't.
Well, it's like salad. Just a simple salad.
Salad.
You take. I mean, instead of drowning, I know my son. He's like, please don't drown it in dressing, And then I'm like, oh, okay, And then, but that tahini, I mean, that tahini is.
We added to our beer, like micheladas.
Right. I was gonna say that's like and I remember you and I were talking off air about the dessert spot in town that was doing like frozen dishes
mangoladas and like other stuff like that. Like a mangolada is great. There's this great like it's a small Mexican ice cream store down in like Springdale. Yes. Oh, so good. You walk in there and it's like a deli, but like for ice cream. You walk in there and there's someone yelling at you in Spanish, like, "Oh, ¿qué quieres, amigo? ¿Qué está haciendo pasando?" And you're like, you get overwhelmed, and like I get overwhelmed, and I know Spanish, so I don't know how. There's not a lot of American people there, but I wish there was like, I want more American people to try it and like.
Well, here's what I'll promise, because I know we talked about maybe doing it for this episode, but I think we ran out of time. But I think we should go visit them.
Absolutely.
And we should test it out. And then hopefully all of you watching out there will be less. I'm kind of hoping that I can just be the liaison into other cultures for people. Like, you don't need to be afraid of this.
And that's where we're bringing in like Andy's cakes. I mean,
talk to me about that, because I just saw you were putting some of those out, right?
Yes, I was just putting some out.
So Andy Cakes is like a very sorry.
No, you're both excited. I'm the passion wrangler. Get excited. That's what this is all about.
Because I know the business.
Yeah, because he knew the business very well.
Yeah, I was the one that was like, hey, sell these cakes. They're really good. Yeah. But yeah, I know the owner, and they're really sweet and all that. And they've been making cakes outside the bakery for like a while, and they started their own restaurant. So it's like a local, woman of color owned restaurant. And I'm like, you really need to. I really want as much business for you, because I want you to, we need more women of color own businesses and all that. And I'm really glad that Jungle Gyms decided to sell some of the products, because they're really good. We have Tres Leches cake.
He sampled it, and he's like, this is great.
And I love that Jungle's always excited about that. So he's like, this is a great product, babe.
Yeah. Exactly.
It was like,
man, he always just makes me so happy.
He was so scared to try it. He was like intrigued, but it was like, why is this cake dripping milk? And I'm like, dude, the milkier the better.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the drizzle. I mean, it's tres leches, the drizzle. That's the thing about the Mexican. There's like, because each country has their own version of tres leche. Yeah. Some don't do any of the drizzle.
Okay.
And the Mexican is more of the drizzle to make sure it's very moist.
You gotta get that, which is it's a turn off for a lot of people. And like, I want my cake dry.
It shouldn't be. Again, I hate to keep throwing them too, but like the first time I tried it too, it was like I was just excited. Again, I hadn't seen a lot of international food in the Midwest the whole time I'd been here, right? I feel like in the last maybe 10 years, you've had this kind of like overall food explosion. It's just that people are now like interested in food, but then you just didn't have these kinds of things. Now, being up north, in close to New York, New Jersey and stuff, we had a lot more culture there, relatively speaking, at least, right? So you got to try those things, but it was like that thing where I was there, I left just too early enough to like know what to ask for, kind of a thing. Yeah. And then it's like, so trying it the first time, I had the exact opposite response. I was like, I want the milky one. I was like, because I'm looking at it like this. Obviously, it's supposed to be in there, and if you all say it's good, I'm at least gonna try it. And maybe I won't like. I have this whole thing, and I may have said this on the show before, but it drives me crazy when people won't try new things, because I'm just like, you're talking like a split second of your life at worst that you just didn't like. You're like, and then you just spit it out, and it's over, and you never have to do it again. But I'm just like, it's cake. Like I even if it's wet cake, why are we upset about that?
Soggy cake.
Up high is wet cake, and one of my friends just got excited that I said that on it.
Well, in Asia, it's funny because you cannot. It's rude to ask before you try something. Oh, so what is this? Oh no.
Try first. Then.
You try first, and then you like.
You shut your mouth and stick it in your mouth.
Yeah, and then you're like. So what did I just eat? Oh, Okay, that's what I just had. Okay,
Right.
but you try it. So there's
It's always uni when it's an Asian culture for me. And I'm like, oh, that was a not pleasing texture. The taste
It's
was
a different
okay.
texture.
Yeah, I was like, oh, interesting. Fish toothpaste.
It's like, oh, that's what I just ate. Okay, interesting.
But still kind of good.
But we have like six different variations that we have been bringing in from Andy's Cakes. It's tres leches, which whether it be the pineapple coconut, the peach, the strawberry. And then there's
Choco flan.
the choco
That's
flan,
my mom's favorite.
which is
and
a
I really
custard.
recommend that.
Yes. Okay.
the regular custard
Yeah,
flan.
so it's like
and then the
flan with chocolate cake in the bottom, which is
Oh
like a
my
great,
his
God.
favorite.
great
That's his
combo.
favorite, if I'm
Yeah, it's
correct.
my
Oh,
favorite.
that's okay. I'm going to say it again. That's a dream I didn't know I had.
Yeah. So it's flan with chocolate cake on it. So it's great.
Whoa. Okay. Is that back in the refrigerated area?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And you
The
gotta keep
ones
it
that
cool.
we have in the front for the Discover are 3 items that are specifically for the Mexico
Sure.
celebration, and which is the cookie, the cinnamon cookies, and the like a margarita
Okay.
type of cupcake, and because we want to make sure just for them to try. So the other tres leches and the flan and the custard flan, that's more in the cooler section.
Oh, that's really cool. I'm excited about that too. Thinking about Discovers, this is not directly food related, but I did want to ask piñatas, and we got the piñata stick now.
We got the
Yes.
All right, so the piñatas are a real thing. That's not been, because again, I feel like that's I'm trying to view this from how many things did like U.S. or just Anglo culture adopt and then change,
So in Mexico, they go you should see some of the piñatas. that
We
come
love
out of,
piñatas.
Mexico. I'm like, oh my goodness, great. I mean, when you're at a
We love
party.
piñatas.
We love beating the
and
crap
it's not
out of
just
something.
one at a party. We're talking, there could be a whole row of piñatas and what they do, and then like different age groups,
Yeah.
and even adults
Yeah.
chime in.
Yeah.
The adults, if the ones for the adults have little things to fill in, and but the candy, but even the candies that we bring in have the adults go crazy over it.
Yeah.
As well, because it's not just it's not the typical chicle, or which is the gum, and it's an array of all the chili and things like that.
Yeah, like all the piñatas that like the real authentic Mexican piñatas are like they have these like fun little designs on them that you can't really see anywhere else. There's like weird animals that you can't like. That kind of looks like a dog bear thing. I'm gonna beat it open and eat its insides,
Yeah.
which is
Oh,
what
perfect.
it's amazing because
Yeah.
we sell like the premixes and all that, so you don't have to like buy all the candies separately. You can just
Oh,
buy
brilliant.
yeah.
I was going to ask that.
Bags.
Yeah, and a lot of people
Check.
are like, "Oh, so it doesn't come in pre-filled?" I'm like, "No, you got to fill it yourself
Fill
with
yourself,
anything you want."
so you can pick your whatever. So
Yeah.
if you don't want the Mexican candy, and
Which
you
is-
want the typical
wanna-
Starburst or something like
Right,
that,
exactly.
You can
I'm filling
go,
mine with
yeah,
nacho
yeah.
cheese out of the
There
cans
you
I
go.
saw.
There you go. Yeah.
just for the
All the
photos.
cheeses.
You
So-
got to use the piñata beating stick, which we now sell because it's like a decorative stick. You got to use that. You could, like Monica said, you can use a bat or
but-
something else, but it's
We have the pretty,
And they were pretty affordable too. They were only a couple bucks, I think, right?
Yeah,
for
they're
the
only a
sticks.
couple
Yeah, I'm like, why
bucks,
not?
yeah.
And if nothing else, it doubles as a fun baton. It's getting close to
Exactly.
parade
Yeah.
season.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm into
beating
that.
stick for other things.
Yeah, whatever you need.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, we'll talk about that off air.
But so the piñata, I mean, they really piñatas is a celebration, and it works as a decorations. You go to some restaurants, so they have piñatas, because it serves as a decorations as well as very festive. And I mean, whether it's birthdays or holiday weddings or everything. I mean, the weddings
It's fun
they
for
have-
kids and very drunk adults.
Yeah, they even
or
have
sober
their
adults.
weddings because it's
doesn't like
something
hitting
you-
stuff?
Yeah.
Exactly. It's like
This is making rage rooms now. I'm like, this
Yeah.
just seems like a way more fun version. It's less
Exactly.
threatening. And you get candy at the end. The rage room I went to did not give me candy. They just asked for their suit back.
the euphoria
Unacceptable.
you get when you crack one open.
Yeah.
It's unimaginable.
Yeah.
Like because you sometimes you blindfold them and sometimes you don't, but getting that final blow on that weird bear dog thing, it's just amazing. It's the
Canis
greatest singer.
Major. Yeah, I'm into it.
exactly.
Oh man,
And
I feel like blindfolding's the move. I'm sorry.
Sorry. Yeah, and I know that maybe at Christmas.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a big deal.
Interesting. I had no idea about that. But for the same reasons, right? It's just there's not like any holiday specific reason to it. It's just sort of like this is an item that we use at celebration time. Is that correct?
Yeah. You want to beat the crap out of a thing that we don't know? Okay.
Do you have aggressive feelings about unicorns? Well,
There you go. Take it out.
For you. That is amazing. Well, as we wrap on this, what is there anything that you would like? This sounds so silly to say, but what's something that you think you would really impress on the audience as far as how we as U.S. or white people view Mexican culture / Cinco de Mayo in this case? Is there anything that like sticks out to you that you're like, you're doing it wrong?
Well, I don't find it offensive, but I always like when a lot of people are like, oh, Cinco de Mayo, I just get to get drunk and all that. It's Mexico Independence Day. I'm like, do a little research. It's not Mexico's Independence Day. I like to gaslight people sometimes. And tell them like, oh, Cinco de Mayo is when this like big mayonnaise factory, sunk on a sinkhole.
Oh, that makes perfect.
Yeah, and a bunch of kids died or whatever.
Right. It was just weird that they were employing children at the mayonnaise factory in your story.
It was back when,
Back in the day,
like
things are different.
There was no
2004.
laws back in the day.
But yeah, I like to like maybe go support a, local Mexican grocery store. They love, seeing like other cultures there. Don't be intimidated by all the weird flavors and the weird stuff.
And that's
agree.
sometimes the
Beautiful.
thing, because they always, you can say, they get a pleasure. You can maybe, if you're let's say frijoles, frijole, if you don't say it right, they don't take offense to it.
No.
They're like, okay, they'll come over to you and go, frijoles, and they show you, and they don't take, some countries might like, you're chopping up my language, that's
Right.
not how you, but no, we're like, oh, we love it that you got, you try and everything, and then
You're like showing an interest in your culture, right?
Yeah,
Which is what
I
this should
love
really
when,
be about.
when customers come up to me and they're like, what is this? And I love explaining to them as long as they're like,
And
as
they're
long as they're
trying.
interested
Yeah,
in
they're
it. It's like, oh, that's disgusting. I don't want to try that. Then screw off, whatever.
Right.
But if they're like really interested, I just love telling. I love when people come up to me and like, what is this? Oh, you know how to do this and whatever like that. Come up to me, dude. I love doing that.
Do you have a go-to item that you recommend to people frequently?
I usually, now that we got the flan, I go to that because that's
yeah.
like people love
The
flan.
chocolate flan,
yeah.
I'm like literally as soon as I hit stop on the recording,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go eat that.
No,
today.
yeah, it depends. I'll usually ask people like, what are you looking for? Like, you want a Mexican soda? We got some Mexican Fantas.
Oh, that reminds
me.
me.
Like
Yeah.
the adobos.
Yeah, the
they're always
adobos.
like the question they get like, which adobos? Because you have such a selection to choose from.
Yeah.
Adobos is a seasoning, and the choto and the
Yeah.
they always go. They're always like. They're coming and looking for, okay, so it's really, los duros.
Yeah, los duros.
Yeah.
We had
duros.
success with those on TikTok the other day.
Oh, yeah,
okay,
absolutely.
I did
yeah.
a quick hack. I didn't realize that you could actually microwave them in a tin. Beautiful.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
I'm Mexican. I use duros all my life, and I'm like,
Yeah.
Mom, do this.
You can microwave them. I mean, they're not. Don't get me wrong.
I know, yeah.
They're still better fried for sure. But
My
like,
mom found it sacrilegious. I'm like, don't get that out the microwave.
I know.
No, Mark
It was
told me.
cool. Here's the thing: is that what was frustrating? The only negatives to it, and that's me saying, go watch our TikToks. Jungle Jim's Market. The seasoning doesn't stick very well because like the oil when you're actually cooking it obviously creates something for it to stick to. So I was kind of like, all right, I need to like spritz it with water or something, then hit it with the seasoning. But oh my gosh, what a simple, easy snack that way too.
Yeah.
Well, like the pig skin, I found something like that you can microwave as well. But but I was like, oh, it tastes different. It tastes all right. It's like popcorn,
Right?
That you can and I was like, oh, but they have if you wanted to pop it, so it's the shelf life is longer, and you can pop it, but it's always different when you do it in the microwave.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. It's like I try to stay away from the microwave, but every so often it's easy here.
Yeah.
It's like the
It
only
is
place in my life
it
I
is
really
easy
have a
here.
microwave.
Yeah.
Stupid
well,
stuff.
There's so many to choose from. You know, like you said, getting like instead of just getting the quick powder, like for hot chocolate or something.
Yeah.
To actually get like mi abuelita.
Like mi abuelita hot
the
chocolate.
bars.
The Mexican hot chocolate is so
Yeah,
good. It comes
and-
with different spices and all that.
Yeah.
And
I love recommending people tamarind candy.
yes.
I was so glad because you guys just had me try that recently, and I was
Yeah.
hoping as part of Tamarind Awareness Month.
And
yeah.
you can have it the natural fruit. We sell it fresh.
Oh,
Yeah, we
dang.
sell the fresh ones. We sell like the sweetened ones, which is like the in box form, where you just take it out, eat it. It's so good. Tamarind candy is so popular in Mexico.
The drink and
Spicy,
everything.
not spicy. It's such a very specific flavor that you can only have it like that time. We sell tamarind soda. Not a big fan of that, but
No, it doesn't
to
play
each
as
their
well.
own.
Yeah, it doesn't play as well in soda. I remember one of the first times I ever tried it was in a margarita. I was like, this doesn't work this
What
way.
the heck?
And then I tried it again, and I was like, okay, I was right in my original assumption that I was like, oh, maybe, again, it probably comes out of a concentrate bottle. So that's totally different. You know?
Yeah, but like there's this like tamarind candy where it comes in like in a ceramic boot, and they're like,
Okay.
try this. And I went up to my friend and I was like, try this, and you stick your spoon in it, and it's like you eating this like black tar out of a boot, and I'm like, this is good, and then it's like, yes, it's great. You lick that boot clean.
Right. That's
Yep.
got a lot of good quotes out of you on this one.
bootlicker.
Yeah. You lick that boot clean.
You
It's
lick
like,
that
all
boot
right,
clean.
partner.
Oh no, black
That's
tar
amazing.
coming out of there.
Yeah, drink any type of format. Any drink,
And what's the name of
candy.
the apple soda, by the way, that we were talking about before?
yeah.
I love that so much, and I want people to try it.
De jarritos.
Sidral?
Sidral. I don't want to like offend all
That's
the like, all the.
It's okay. You just
natives.
have to say, I'm trying. And then
Yeah,
they-
I'm
they-
trying. Okay, I'm kind of a no sabe for all those Mexican people that know what that means. But yeah, it's like sidral. It's got like an apple thing to it.
Yeah, and I think the reason I wanted to bring this up is that it was another one of those ones that I avoided in the store. We were talking about the jarritos earlier, that it's very clearly labeled. It's pineapple soda. It's guava soda. It's like, okay. So you'll see that show up in like white hands often. But that was one that, again, I had to have like my hand held to try it.
Yeah.
And it's like one of my favorite beverages now. It's got a really refreshing apple taste. And you and I were joking off air, Ozzy, that it doesn't really look like an apple soda. They like, if you really look at it, it's like, oh yeah, there's an apple on the package, but it just sort of looks like brown soda. It's almost got kind of a cola look to it.
Yeah.
But if I can encourage you to try one thing out of the many things we talked about today, that's a really good gateway drug, as it were.
Yeah.
Dive in. That's our moment. That's the whole point of discoveries.
Yeah, and you mentioned how in the Midwest
Mm-hmm.
and that that it's been changing.
Sure.
Like I mean everybody seems to have a passion now for mangoes.
Yeah.
Mangoes. There's different variations
Yeah.
of mangoes, and that you can see in our fresh produce. We have we have the ones that come from Mexico. Aguacate. Aguacate is two different kinds of aguacate. The Caribbean has more of a bigger version of aguacate, and Mexico has, and
the Hass avocado.
Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say, I was like, can you say that word one more time so I make sure I know what you're saying?
the avocado.
Yeah, exactly.
Avocado.
The avocado.
Avocado. There you go.
Yeah, that has grown an insane popularity. But we
Yeah, and
we
that's
do an
gotten
avocado
popular,
episode.
yeah. And-
Well,
and
people
it-
now are willing to try guacamole for the longest
Yeah,
time.
exactly. Tres leches cake, like I told you, I'm really glad a lot of more American people are willing to try more of this stuff, because not only does it like expand their culture and expand their horizons of taste, but like it gives opportunity for local business owners. Like I told you, like 10 years ago, a woman of color owned bakery, Mexican bakery, you probably wouldn't, it wouldn't be a success, but now she's,
Yeah.
she's getting orders from Jungle Gyms and people were buying it. We're selling off the shelves, and it's great. I love that.
Yeah.
And the more we let people try this like Mexican stuff that looks kind of like, I don't want to try that brown sauce, the more you try this brown sauce, the more it impacts the culture.
That's why we did the mole stout.
Exactly.
Seriously, we were like, what should we do? And we're like, for the Road to the Jungle beer, we're like, let's get a little interesting with it.
Yeah.
And you know what was great is I think there was a little trepidation at first because they're like, oh, that's a bit of a wild swing early in the series, and it went really well. And it sold. I think I obviously can't speak to their expectations, but from what I was anticipating seeing versus what I saw happen as far as like supplies, it looked like it went even better than anticipated. So I'm hoping that that's again another way that you can just keep opening people's eyes and their horizons. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I've learned a ton today, and I'm hoping you all learned a ton as well. But it's the whole point of this. And I'm hoping that everybody comes in and tries a bunch of new stuff because we've got it accessible to them. It'll be on display all month. And of course, as I always try to bring up in these things, like I did last week with Taiwan, even if it's not discoveries, you just go back to that section. We got all kinds of people. You can grab people like Monica and Ozzy, and they'll help you navigate this landscape. It's a beautiful thing. It's probably one of the best parts about Jungle Gyms, I think, anyway. Well, this has been a pleasure today. I'm so glad you all came out. Thank you for your time. Yeah, I look forward to the future. And that I'm gonna go get that chocolate cake flan combo and chocolate flan. And I'm thinking about fresh horchata. It's gonna be a sugar-filled weekend. Looking forward to my impending doom. Thank you all, seriously.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Monica and Ozzy, for joining me today and talking to me all about your culture, your food, and all of the wonderful items that we carry conveniently right here at Jungle Gyms. Pretty exciting. Now, speaking of food, I happened to find out about this restaurant close by us in neighboring northern Kentucky. They've been getting out all of these best new restaurants in the country list for their incredible, authentic tacos, and I figured, let's take a trip down to Olla in Covington, Kentucky, and meet Sergio Gutierrez to tell us a little bit more about Mexican culture and food and other things. But probably just the first two. Well, everyone, I'll look at my camera real fast. I'm down here at Olla in Covington with my friend Sergio Gutierrez. Sergio, what's up, man?
Not much, man. Getting prepared for the big weekend.
Yeah, well, so, we're doing this month in the store, we're doing Discover Mexico. So obviously I thought this made sense. You're conveniently located very close to me. And I mean, you're killing it right now on the restaurant game. I mean, tell me a little bit about Olla and what's going on down here.
So it's been a little crazy, man. It all kind of started, as a little dream of ours, starting at my dad's store. And then it's just like, it's been getting better and better. And, one of the biggest things that I want to let people know is like the reason why we chose the name of the restaurant was because so Olla translates to a cooking pot.
Okay.
And my thought behind everything was that when we first started the store, our main goal was to focus on the Hispanic community. Well, at first it was the Mexican community because we're Mexican, right? But when we came here, and started seeing the types of Hispanic people that were here, it wasn't just Mexicans. So it was a bigger crowd. So we had a lot of Central American people, mainly from Guatemala though. So we quickly had to start learning and adapting to what they needed, They use a lot of the similar stuff that we do, but obviously you're gonna go with the brands that you know.
Sure.
So then we quickly started realizing that it wasn't just all about Mexicans, so then we started getting American people in the store. We're starting to get all types of different people in the store. So it was like we were creating our own melting pot. So that's why the name of the restaurant is Olla, because we've literally created a melting pot of people here. Because not only do I have the Hispanic people coming in here, I have American, I have all types of people coming in here, and it's really good to see that I was able to create something that was just a dream of ours, and now we're making it a reality.
Yeah, you're manifesting that shit, dude. I love it.
Man,
that's so cool. And again, congratulations. I know I've said it a billion times, but I'll say it while cameras are rolling too, so it's
man.
real
I appreciate
now.
it.
No, dude, you're a good guy. You're out here creating really authentic cuisine, which is why, a big part of this episode for me was that I was hoping I could meet people like yourself, obviously. Well, not that I didn't know you, but that we could dive in a little bit and maybe dispel some of the rumors. And, in doing my first interview on this, I learned a lot about Puebla. And then when we were setting up today, you told me that's where you're from.
Yeah.
I had no idea, man. And I know they talked about it a little bit, but give me your perspective on Puebla and I guess in turn, Cinco de Mayo.
So the funny thing is so I was born here,
mm-hmm.
and then I was raised in Mexico. And when I lived in Mexico, I lived in Valle de Chalco, which is close to the city. But then I ended up moving to Puebla with my grandparents for 4 years. So when we were out there, we were from this little town called Axutla, Puebla. And it was probably the best thing that's ever happened to me because like being in the city, yeah, you go to school and you learn, but like you're learning, I guess, like textbook stuff, you know, like modern stuff. Like when I went to my grandparents' town, that's where my dad's from, and my mom's actually from Puebla as well. She's from a town that's like an hour away from my dad. So we're originally from there, right? But what I really liked about going out there, man, is like the culture. I feel like the more you're in the city, the more like the culture gets lost. And over there, like a lot of the stuff is still like back in the day, like your grandparents are telling you stories about why things are this way or why certain things work the way they do. For example, it's like in my town, my grandma, she's known for her mole. The mole is a big thing in Mexico, especially in Puebla, because that's where it originated at.
Right.
And it's crazy, man, to see a whole bunch of people come together just to eat. Like, especially, like, traditionally they do mole for weddings.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, so my grandma, like, we had to buy her big old freezers because she is, like, in business selling mole. Like,
That's
anytime
cool.
there's a wedding, that's the lady they go to for their mole. So
I love that.
It's been a really big, like, opportunity to be out there and really, like, learn where I come from, you know? It's a neat place, man.
A lot of people I don't think really get to do that. And I think that maybe that's more of an American thing because, well, overall, the country's just so much newer, right? You know, overall, if you're looking at, we're 200 years old. So there's not a whole lot. It's like, how far back can you go? 2 layers, you know? And I feel like because of that, we in America kind of lose some of the oral traditions. So I love your take on that too, that, yeah, it's like, not that there's nothing to be learned from the modern stuff, but there's 2 real sets of knowledge here. And it's something, a lot of it can only be passed down in that, like, you know, person to person way.
And like I said, like, so that's where a lot of our cooking imagination comes from.
Cool.
Because my grandma, like, in Mexico, it's set up to where, like, you know, there's standards. Like, the woman cooks, the man goes to work.
Right.
But it's coming to where, like, it's getting modernized because, like, you know, it's things got to get better.
Right.
You know?
Times change, all
Times
that stuff.
change.
Yeah.
So then when I was out there, my grandma was like, bro, you got to come help us do this. Like in Mexico, the way we would do our tortillas, we call it nistamal.
Okay.
So it's like you got to let corn soak in this water and this powder. It's called cal. I don't know what it's called in English, but they put that, it softens up the corn. Oh. Then you take it. We would have to, I'd had to carry it.
Right.
Carry it. Take it to the molino, which is, they have I don't even know what it's called, a grinder.
Okay.
And like literally every morning, all the old ladies and like the girls go to the molino to get their corn mashed up into masa so they can make tortillas.
No kidding.
So like that's still a tradition that we do over there. And then like we have like the white corn and we also do the blue corn.
Oh, cool.
So it's neat to see stuff like that still because it's like, all these ladies, you know, I was with my grandma, so I'm with all these ladies there, and they're talking about cooking and all that stuff. So it was always just been around it. And then my grandma, like, I kind of did fall into my grandma's wing, so we would help her make the mole. We'd help her do all the cooking. So it's like we kind of grew up around it. Yeah. And then coming here, I started seeing like most of the people in the kitchen are men. And that was kind of weird to me because I'm used to seeing like the women in the kitchen.
Right.
So, you know, it was all a learning experience. So then it's like, once I figured out that I actually like cooking and that was like a passion of mine, dude, it's been really fun. Because like, so you know, like artists, they're really creative and, you know, and you can do the same thing with food. So that's where like a lot of that stuff comes from.
Dude, I talk about it every so often where it's, food is another art form, even if I think the public is kind of coming around to that idea as like food has kind of become this like cool new thing to a lot of people, which is sort of silly because we all eat and we all enjoy food. And it's kind of one of the things I've had so much fun about on the show already, which is just like, it's like an exploration of culture. We were talking with one of our guys the other day and it was just like, he was kind of like, I want to share this with you. Like, I want you to want to know about this. And I think that's so cool. So it's like, it's clear to me that you are using this as a passion, like an expression of your passion for doing it. And I think it's the reason why you keep showing up on all these like best in the country lists. I mean, that's crazy, dude. You've been open, what, not even a year yet, right?
Yeah, we're going to do our first year June 1st.
That's awesome.
Dude, and it's been crazy because I literally just sat down and talked to all the staff because like most of the staff are my friends.
Yeah.
And like we're all around the same age. And I kind of just took upon this without like hesitating on it. Like I was like, I'm gonna make it work. And the staff has been really great because like I literally kind of threw them onto this, and they've adapted. And like, I think like for a bunch of kids that get together and do something like this, like it means something, you know. And like it means a lot to me, and it means a lot to them because like it's a family-owned business, you know. Right. And like these people that are coming here to work, they're like family. They're treating this like, and that's why we've been able to be so successful because like we have good people on our team.
Yeah.
So it's been a blessing, man.
Dude, I'm so happy for you too. It makes it just like, you know, and I know we know each other a couple of years now, but just to watch this like happen has been so cool.
Yeah,
you know?
it's been a journey, but it's fun, man.
I mean, anything worth your time is. There's ups and downs. It's a little bit of a roller coaster, you know what I mean? But I'm glad to see you're at like one of the exciting parts of the ride.
Yeah.
You know? On the food end, are there certain things that you've tried to incorporate to increase, or not increase, but rather stay authentic, right? You know, because I don't want to name names, but there's definitely a few taco games in town that are a little less than authentic, I'll say. Is there something you try to like really strive for in regards to maybe some of the recipes or anything like that?
So like, yes. So the thing is I feel like with Mexican food is that Mexican food is very simple.
Yeah.
You know? And a lot of people, when they try to recreate the stuff, they kind of add, well, I mean, it's cool because you're creating your own version of it.
Right.
It's awesome, but like, it's very simple. You don't need a lot of stuff to make, like a taco is cilantro and onion. No cheese, no tomatoes. No
I'm so
lettuce.
glad you mentioned no cheese. That's like one of my favorite additions to the authentic taco game. I'm like, America, stop putting cheese on everything. I love it too, but we're not doing it right.
And also like, in Mexico, the tacos are really small and they're double tortilla. Here, you know, the portions, they're supposed to be double tortilla. But for example, like us, we went with the single tortilla right now because like the tortilla that we use is kind of hard to come by right now. So it's like dealing with the whole pandemic has been a little hard. So we went, but I initially started doing 2 tortillas because like that's how it's supposed to be.
Right.
You know?
Is it just to like keep everything together ultimately?
Nah, I think that, so I'm not really sure on this, but I think that just because like it'll fill you up a little bit more if you do 2 tortillas.
That makes sense.
And like, for example, it's like in Mexico, like the portions and stuff are smaller. Like I was just talking to some of my staff and I was telling them like growing up, like eating meat was like a luxury. Like we didn't eat meat all the time.
Really?
And, yeah. Cause like over there, there's a lot of like the ground itself gives us a lot of food. Like for example, at my grandparents' house, we have any fruit you can imagine. We have papayas, we have guavas, we have bananas, mangoes, oranges, limes. Like, so a lot of our stuff doesn't revolve around like the meat. And also it's like people down there don't have the resources. Like meat is expensive.
Yeah, of course.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think that that's a lot of the reason why, like, when we go to my town, it's crazy. My grandpa's like 80 years old. And this man, when we go out like hunting or when we go out to the river and fish and stuff, like this man can still keep up with us. Like we get tired before he gets tired. So I think it has to do a lot of like, you know, the way that they eat. But it's been like, it's awesome, dude.
Yeah, that's really cool. I love the idea too that, again, in a place where, you know, I'm always trying to compare it to U.S. culture where it's like we do a lot of agriculture, we do a lot of growing, but you make such a beautiful point there that, I mean, until recently, I know for me at least, I'm not growing a lot and I'm not, you know what I mean, not thinking about food that way. I think the show and just kind of like, honestly, in a weird way, the pandemic made me rethink food a lot where I'm like, oh, maybe we should actually be thinking in detail constantly about what we're putting in our bodies. That's such a cool point. And man, I just want to now go hang out at your grandma's. Like between the mole and then all the, like fresh mango, that sounds like a dream.
Dude, so the other thing is, it's like for us down there when we eat meat, like now we are in a position where we like, now we can eat meat every day, you know?
Right.
My
Sure.
dad, one of the biggest thing that like I really like appreciate, and is everything that like, my dad left this country when he was 12 years old.
Wow.
Came here, and you know, the risk that it takes to come here as an immigrant, you know, like he did all that to put us in a position to where we're at right now. So that's another reason why like my drive to do better every day is because like this man took that decision at 12 years old.
Right.
Like, I don't have an excuse right now. And I'm not going to tell you that I wasn't like lacking or anything before it.
Sure.
It takes a while for you to like, I feel like when you understand where you come from and what your people have done for you to get to where you're at, you start valuing more of like what really, you know, what's really like important.
Yeah.
And like that to me is crazy because at 12 years old, I couldn't.
Yeah, I'm thinking about what I was doing at 12 years old, and I'm like, I don't think I would have been making any useful decisions at all.
Yeah,
that's
man.
so cool.
And it's just crazy to be able to see like what fascinates me about like, I guess my life, man, is that I've gotten to see where I come from, and I've gotten to embrace it because like at first when I was here in the States, when I first came here, it was kind of hard because it was like you had to figure yourself out. Like I wasn't American enough, or even though I'm American because I was born here,
Right.
but I wasn't American enough and I didn't speak English, so I didn't fit in there. And I wasn't like, like the Hispanic people that were at school when I was going to school were like Americanized Hispanic, so I didn't fit in with them either. And I was like, it took a while.
Yeah.
But once you like, you know, once you accept yourself for who you are, dude, everything opens up. Like it's
crazy,
it's
isn't it?
amazing, man. It's amazing.
Yeah. One of those lessons I wish how old are you?
I'm 26.
Okay, yeah, I knew you were pretty young. One of those lessons I wish I learned at your age. It took me, I was like 28 when I had that moment where I was like, oh, that's the key. And my life changed almost overnight. So
Yeah,
I
man.
love hearing that too. And what I think is so cool, you talked about just getting to see where you came from and learn all those stuffs hands-on. What I think is so wonderful is that you've taken that knowledge and now you're sharing it with all of us, you know?
Yeah, because it's like, I feel like, so my sisters, you know, didn't have the same opportunity as me to be raised in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
So they're Mexican.
Mm-hmm.
Their mom is Mexican, my dad's Mexican, and they're actually from our town too.
Oh, cool.
So it was kind of crazy that, because they were here, they were kind of like, they were ashamed of speaking Spanish. Well, my younger sister, she was kind of like ashamed of speaking Spanish. Like she was ashamed of who she was. And it's like, it kind of sucks, like, because it's like, bro, you have something that nobody can take away from you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like most people don't even know like where their family came from, or don't follow like certain, you know,
Yeah.
like cultural things that would be important for them. And then for us, like we took them to Mexico. We sent them to Mexico. We took them like, yo, this is why we do this. Like our family's Catholic. Like, you know, you can make their own choice on what you want to be, but like our family's Catholic. This is why we do this. Like Christmas for us, like it's crazy because Christmas for us is more about, it's very religious. So we have these things called posadas.
Okay.
And what they do is like, for every night that like Mary and Joseph, you know, were going around asking for them to be able to stay with somebody or something.
Yeah.
Now like our tradition is to do a posada. And a posada is like where whatever house they leave, they'll literally carry a Mary and a Joseph and a baby Jesus from a house to another house. And if it gets to your house, what they do is they have a big celebration. You pray, you sing, they break piñatas, and then they give you these like goodie bags. And it's like, it's not even like, they give you candy, and it's funny because like you'll see like loose animal crackers, some like sugar cane, an orange. Like it's not really about materialistic things. It's
Sure.
more about being able to enjoy the time with the people that we have. And then like in Mexico, it's like, it's cool, dude, because like some of those kids over there don't have what like that goodie bag for them. It's like a treat because they that's not something that they have access to every day, you know?
Right.
So then the family, whoever's hosting like that party, feeds you. They usually do tamales, coffee. So it's really amazing, dude. And they do that, I think. I'm not exactly how many days it is that they actually do it.
Yeah.
But the biggest night is Noche Buena, which is the 24th. Because here in America, most people celebrate Christmas. Well, the 25th. For us, is the 24th.
Cool.
So in the 24th is the biggest party. That's the house that's gonna bring out the most piñatas.
That's so
that's
cool.
Gonna feed you the best. Like, and it goes back to like, it's just so amazing to be able to have everybody. We're like, our town is really small. It might be like 400 people there.
Oh wow.
So those days you see everybody out. The old ladies, like in Mexico, like it's crazy because like you'll see like all the old ladies, they have like their rebozo covering their praying and stuff, and it's just like cool to be able to everybody sit down and just enjoy the time. You know, it's not about the gifts. It's not about it's just about coming together and just celebrating, man.
And that's what I find so fascinating about the culture in general. It's that like all that togetherness, the sense of family, the sense of community. Again, something that we tend to not. We kind of, you know. Look, I was one of those people when I first moved to the neighborhood where I was just like kind of isolated, stayed in my apartment, didn't do anything, and then. You know, I kind of credit you guys. I may have already said this on this episode, but I think it's worth repeating as we wrap up here. I think about this time I was walking Morrison around the block, and you guys were out doing some delicious shrimp stuff. And I'm like walking by, and I like kind of knew you guys, but not super well yet. And you were just like, "Hey, you want some shrimp?" And it was one of those moments where I was like, "They can't be talking to me." And then we just sat around and ate the most delicious shrimp I've ever had in my entire life. And I think that was like such a wonderful thing. It says so much about who you all are. And again, it was one of those times where for me, it was like, I should open up a little bit more and get a little more involved in the neighborhood. Why not? You know? And it helped change me. So thank you for that too, dude.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a big part of us. It's like, the thing is, like, it's not just like my family. It's like the Hispanic people. Like that's how they are, man. Like,
I think that's great.
I took a friend with me this year to Mexico, and I told her like, you're gonna experience something that like it's gonna be life changing. Like, we would go to like older like my older family, you know. We'd go and my aunts are old, man. Like they're like hunchback, like old.
Right.
They get out of their chair and give you their chair.
Aw.
Like they might not have the best materialistic things, but you best believe that they're willing to give you whatever they have.
I love that
And that's what's been like, that's what even helped us, you know, become successful in business. Like when my dad started his business, the only reason why we came up with the capital for that was because everybody in my family pitched in. No questions asked. Like we were like, yo, we need to borrow this money and we're gonna pay you back. And they're like, yo,
let's do it.
Same thing, like my family right now, they got a store. They just got a store in New Jersey. They got it 2 years ago. They kind of, you know, were asking us for some. We helped them, so it's cool to be able to grow, knowing that you have people that will back you up on that. And I feel like a lot of the time here, it's like you want to do it on your own, or
right.
And
a little
like
bit, and when somebody needs help, it's a little of the. Can I put my head down?
Yeah, no. And the thing is, just like it shouldn't be like that. It's like, if you help me, I'm gonna help you, and like, let's do this together, and that's how it's been. And like I feel like that's one of the biggest reasons why my family's been able to like be so successful, because we really do help each other in whatever we can, man. Like if I were to call somebody right now to like, I need help to do something here, they'd come. No questions asked. And it's amazing to be able to do that, because like not a lot of people have that.
So true. All right, I'm calling my family out now. I was like, I need help on the rest of the shoot. If you guys could.
No, but yeah, man.
Well, Sergio, as we wrap on this, is there anything you would want the audience to know in regards to ways that we are celebrating that you think we should be focusing differently, right? I know beforehand we were just talking about like Cinco de Mayo, for example. It's like kind of become like a drunk holiday for us. What would you tell the audience that they should focus on in that regard?
To be honest, it's mainly I feel like, you know, the American crowd doesn't really know what really happens that day, which is like, and the thing is, even half of the Mexican people don't even understand what that day is, you know. But I mean, it's cool to be able to see everybody get together. So I don't really think I have anything negative to say about that in any way, but I think that it's amazing that everybody, gets together to at least celebrate that day and get together. But just drink more Mexican beer.
That's funny. That is the exact same note I got from one of my coworkers too. He's just like, drink something authentically Mexican. He's like, no more Blue Moon on that day.
No. Hey, I recommend everybody to check out the Caguamas, the 32-ounce Modelos.
Oh yeah,
super nice.
I've had a few of those in my time since I've known
and
you.
the other beer that a lot of people don't know about is Victoria. Stop drinking Pacifico. Drink Victoria.
Victoria rules. Yeah. You got me hip to so many beverages. It's kind of funny. Like, we've eaten a lot, but like when I think of how many drinks you've gotten me hip to, the what is it? The Mundet, the apple soda. Was it Sidral something? No?
Sidral.
Sidral. Thank you. Yeah, my pronunciation was perfect, as you could tell. Well, thanks for that, dude, and thanks for the time on this. I appreciate it, bro.
Anytime, man.
I wish you the best, man.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. How good does that look? Oh my gosh. I hope that you're all watching this right now getting just as hungry as I am. It looks incredible, doesn't it? The famous quesadilla tacos. We've got all kinds of stuff. Fresh cilantro, onions, just like Sergio suggested. You better come check out Olla with me sometime. And that's the show, everyone. Did you learn a lot? Did you learn too much? That doesn't matter. I hope that this is a shared learning experience for us all. So thanks for sticking around and watching the show. Come on out. Like, I'm hanging out in the flower area now. What are we calling this? The garden center? There's a lot of names in this building. But come out. I'm in a literal jungle. Get some flowers. You can be one of those lovely flowers. I'll be a lovely flower, but I'm not for sale. And on that, I'll see you out there in the aisles.
The Jungle Gyms podcast is recorded in the WJJI studio inside Jungle Gyms International Market in Fairfield, Ohio. The Jungle Gyms podcast is produced and hosted by Mark Borison.